Hello and welcome to the Great Womb Awakening, where women across the globe are waking up to the undeniable truth that the female body is the most powerful shamanic tool on the planet. Every woman can utilize the energies of change and expansion present at this time to ground a new vision that can serve the next 7 generations and beyond. Women can harness this unprecedented power that lies within their female bodies and unleash that power to create global change at a level never before seen on this planet. I'm your host, Kathy Forrest, founder of Celestial Forest Institute, and today we're here with Lisa Love. Lisa serves as a certified master level life coach, spiritual teacher, and energetic healer who empowers her clients to rise up into their full evolutionary potential of their soul. She's a certified wellness educator, energetic healer, and can you tell us the medicine carrier? Can you tell us the name of that? I don't want to butcher it. And the name of your teacher. Like, what tradition are you from?
Well, I have studied with many traditions, many indigenous healers, but I'm a Pachacudi Mesa carrier, which is from the Peruvian Quero tradition. Yes.
And then the name of your teacher, Don Humberto, I don't know that I can say his last name.
Don Humberto Zanco.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Lisa believes that love is the medicine and knowing that all healing begins within. She assists others to cultivate loving kindness toward themselves. Her heart-centered work supports individuals to shift away from the noise of the mind and surrender into the tranquil intuition of the soul. She offers an integrated approach that invites her clients to explore the fullness of their being and empowers them to awaken to their soul level awareness. This process activates and stabilizes the flourishing of her clients at a soul level and produces a tangible transformation in their world. Lisa was asked to teach her coaching skills at the American School of Professional Life Coaching. Her guided meditations have been featured on the popular meditation app PranaHeart, and she served at Jacksonville Health and Wellness Center as a functional medicine coach, meditation teacher, and LMT. She supported global visionaries such as Lila June, internationally recognized public speaker and spiritual activist, to potentize their message and fully give their gifts to the world. And today, Lisa is here to talk about the feminine powers of regeneration. Lisa, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here on the call with us today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
So before we dive in to this topic, can you tell us a little bit about how you came to the work of the feminine? It's like your life coaching skills looks like it's for everyone across the board, but a lot of the information that I've read about you focuses specifically on womb regeneration. How did that wake up for you?
Well, it came out of my own healing path. I was sexually abused as a young child, and through my own process of healing, many modalities did not work.
Oh, wow.
And I, tried everything that I could get my hands on, and it was still not quite right. So out of sheer desperation, I started researching feminine energy. I don't know, I think it came out of a prayer, a lot of prayer of how can I really heal at a core level. And because I was already immersed in the health and wellness field and healing, psychological study, the prayer was so important. That process wasn't quite working.
Right.
So through prayer, it was like I just had this little insight one day that said, start to study can look into feminine energy healing.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I did. And I started to work with my womb
Mm-hmm.
through movement, through just tuning in. And through that process, there was so much revealed. I started to discover that there was so much that I was holding in my womb, the pain, the trauma, and on an energetic level. And being an energetically sensitive person
Mm-hmm.
who's been studying energy healing since I was 16, I could really go there. I could really feel what was present.
Mm-hmm.
And through that process, maybe 4 or 5 years in of working with clearing my own womb healing, through that then arose my gift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much what I found is that our gifts are in our wounds.
Yes.
And when we really dive into our wounds and we're present with them,
Mm-hmm.
something else unfolds and blossoms from that. It becomes our strength.
Right. Wow.
Mm.
I find it so interesting that most of the women that I've interviewed, we've tripped over this. This wasn't ever anything that we were taught. I spent the first half of my career running a domestic violence shelter. And I tripped over it because all of the women had second chakra issues. And it wasn't until 20 years later, that I discovered, oh, we're all holding all of our stuff in our womb spaces, which leads me to the first question. Why do you believe is that it's so important to energetically clear your womb space often?
The womb is an empty vessel. Unless there's a little new being of life being created,
Mm-hmm.
she's an empty open space.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's that whole saying, nature abhors a vacuum.
Right.
And there's also the sense that we as women were receptive, right? Look at the way the yoni is,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's very receptive.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not even consciously aware of what's going on when we're out in the world, we're interacting with our husband, our children, our friends, our family. Women, we're empathic, we're sensitive, and we have this empty open vessel that's very receptive of the womb. And so our womb can fill up with other people's energy very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was first starting my womb work, I was like, wow, there's all kinds of stuff in here that's not even mine.
Right.
And then there's also the piece that every man that we have sex with
Mm-hmm.
is penetrating us, and he also leaves an energetic imprint in our womb.
Mm-hmm.
If we've had any sexual trauma, that leaves an energetic imprint in our womb.
Mm-hmm.
Our own fears and worries, that can go into the womb.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's really important to energetically clear our womb space often.
Mm-hmm.
To really go in and claim this space as our own.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that she's clean, she's refreshed, she's that empty open vessel,
Mm-hmm.
so that therefore we are in our own empowerment, we're in our own energetic vibration.
Mm-hmm. So, question that isn't on the questions, but I'm curious. Common everyday women are going to be watching this. Women with children, women with jobs, women that are busy. What is the process? This makes perfect sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. I'm sure it's going to make perfect sense to our listeners that, yeah, we probably do have a lot of extra stuff in there that needs to get cleared. How do we do that? What does that look like?
Mm. With my clients, when we first begin this process, there's often this sense of they can't tune in,
Mm-hmm.
right? We drop down into the womb space, we get meditative, and they're like, I don't, feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
Some women feel it all. Some women are very clear that it doesn't feel right. They can see and sense
Mm-hmm.
what is held in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a wide spectrum of how a woman is going to approach her womb. But over time, through bringing our presence, our awareness, and our love to our womb space, we will begin to tune in. We will begin to feel more. It's a practice, just like any other practice.
Gotcha.
So the first thing is really, creating the space and the time with tuning into your womb. And it's really, I always teach this, the yoni womb hand-holding position that you place onto your belly button, and then the tips of your fingers are touching onto your pubic bone. And it's just this very simple process of dropping down, tuning in, and feeling, sensing what's here.
Beautiful.
And once we do that, there's no fear around it. It doesn't mean anything's bad or wrong if there's energetic congestion here, other people's energy. It's very natural. It's what we do. So it doesn't need to be changed or fixed. It's just this awareness of, I want my womb space to be my own space. I'm the only one living here.
Right.
And it can be very simple as an intention, as a prayer. Even if a woman is not feeling yet her womb space, just bringing your hands and holding, bringing your love, your presence, and a simple prayer of, I'm clearing, please help me, Divine Mother, please help me, Mother Earth, to clear my womb space, to out any energies that are not my own. I'm willing to release them. I'm willing to let them go.
Wow.
It can be that simple.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And that is a simple process. I'm happy about that. How does our womb support our regeneration process? So if we go in there every day and start doing this kind of work, what's going to happen?
How the womb supports our regeneration process is we look at what she is just in her biological essence, right? It's very clear to see that the womb goes through a monthly cycle where she builds up lining and she sheds the lining. She cleanses herself. Now, of course, even if a baby is in the womb, that alone is part of a cyclical process. We build a baby for 9 months, then we release the baby. If we're menopausal and we're no longer bleeding, we still are very connected to these cycles and the rhythms, right? The womb is in a very different stage of life where she's still regenerating. She's still, we're coming into our wisdom years, our crone years, and there's a whole different level of regeneration that to me is very cosmic, very, very spiritual. So just on this like basic biological level, she is a guide for us of how we can regenerate. And if we tune into this cycle and this rhythm when we're bleeding, when we're having a baby, when we're in our wisdom years, there's a building up, right? And so we can use this symbolically in our life, right? Maybe we're built up with stress. Maybe we're built up with, we have these work projects, or we're built up with the stress of, relating with our partners or our children, right? There's this build-up process. And if we attune to our wombs and we go in her natural cyclical process that she's going through on a monthly basis, we can also, at that time when we're bleeding, when the womb is releasing her lining, utilize that time symbolically for everything else in our life, right? We're going within, we're going into the dark time. I'm going to shed and release. Maybe we take more baths, maybe we do cleansing. Foods, cleansing herbs, spending more time in nature to help that cyclical process. So I feel that the womb has a lot to teach us about our own process in life and how we can better navigate. And we're so powerful as women. We're so incredibly powerful. And the more we attune to our wombs, I feel like it's not a feeling, it's actually like a knowing that so much to teach us about our own cycles and processes of regeneration in our daily life.
Right. I've heard, a lot of times years ago, they called the womb the second brain just because of all the hormones that she controlled. And now that's pretty much common knowledge. And a lot of that is because of there's so much blood that is located, that builds up right there in the center of our body. So I think that is key. And could you speak into how a woman's womb blood is the key to her feminine awakening?
Absolutely. So if we tune into our womb blood and what that brings up for us, right? We have been conditioned in this society to see it as dirty.
Mm-hmm.
We have to hide it. It can be painful for a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
Some women, their cyclical process is off, and so there's a lot of stress and anxiety around that.
Mm-hmm.
When we get into our wisdom years, that process of no longer having menstruation can also bring up different issues for women, no longer feeling sexually viable or,
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at all that the womb blood brings up in us and we heal that, we really come into loving and appreciating our womb blood,
Mm-hmm.
becoming one with it. When it comes, making it into a sacred ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
Rubbing it on our body. Like, how much can we really align ourselves
Mm-hmm.
with menstruation, and how much can we even align ourselves when we're losing our menstruation and coming into the love and the appreciation of that time and that part of our life?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that healing and that alignment with our own blood is the deepest place that we can go with our feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm disgusted by my womb blood and I want to hide it, and I don't want to look at it, and I'm, oh my gosh, and I have this negative association with it,
Mm-hmm.
my menstruation symbolizes the deepest essence of my feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me a woman, right? That's what creates life in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So the more that I can accept and embrace my womb blood and turn that into the sacred ceremony, this thing that I'm just like so grateful for every month. And then even that process of I'm not having it anymore. And now I'm so grateful for that transition. And what is, so in that way, that is the deepest part of our feminine awakening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, beautiful. So let's say that a woman goes through this process and she works her stuff, she clears it. What kind of potential does she have when she's finally, and number one, what does it mean to awaken your womb? And then what is the potential for us when one woman does, when many of us do? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Womb awakening is this process of everything that we've talked about, right? Clearing the womb space of past trauma, past lovers, on a daily basis, the energy that we're absorbing from just our interactions with people, really claiming our womb space as our own, getting in this process of regeneration, aligning with menstruation or the lack thereof, really attuning ourselves to our cycles and embracing the power of our womb.
Mm-hmm.
This then, when the womb is clear and we can really attune ourselves with her clarity and her openness. The womb is the gateway to the cosmic womb.
Mm-hmm.
This deep sense of where everything is manifested from. Mm-hmm. And when we're bleeding, our cervix is open, right? The only other time our cervix is open is when we're birthing spirit into matter.
Right.
So an awakened womb, when we're aligned with our own cycles and we're okay with our bleeding and the potentiality that we have at that time to attune to the cosmic womb, to receive insight and guidance for our life, aligned with these feminine powers of creation. What we do as women is we birth life into the world. So what does that look like on, again, just a basic biological level, is that the womb is open and she's bringing spirit into matter into this world. So that same potentiality exists when the womb is clear, right? The cervix has to be able to be open, the vagina is open, the baby comes through into the world. So when our energy is clear in the womb space, we also have that same potentiality to birth in and bring in creative projects, the awakening for the planet, the healing for the planet, to really be aligned and connected with these feminine powers. Much like the moon, you know, she goes through her cyclical process, and then when she's shining bright and full, look at how much light she brings. Everybody goes outside and it's like, oh, the moon and light is so beautiful, and look how it is glistening on the water and glistening on the snow, and right, it's bringing light to the darkness. This is our power and a potentiality of our awakened womb.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So as you're speaking, I can just feel this connection. It's like, it's almost as if women are the missing link when we're not connected up and down. There's a gap, there's a piece that's missing. And I've heard it said that in order for the planet to stay in balance, women have to be connected to their womb space and be in balance with the earth. Could you speak into that just a little bit?
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. I agree. We are the lovers, we're the nurturers. And when our womb is awakened, the creative life force essence, right? We have this power in our wombs to create life, to create a baby out of nothing. Like, how does that happen? And then the spirit of the child comes in. So I feel like at this time on the planet, we can see it. We can see that the water's not healthy, the land's not healthy, the people aren't healthy. And I feel that women for so long, you know, we have become sexualized, right? And so I feel like in that way, if a woman is not feeling like she looks like the women on the TV screen or the magazines, she'll block herself. It's like, that's not who we are. That's not what we're about as women. We're here to generate life. We're here to birth life through our bodies into this world. And it doesn't mean that it has to be a physical being.
Right.
That this power that we have as women is beyond that. And when we really tune into that, we are bringing in this spiritual energy to create life. And I feel like right now on the planet, that's what we need more than ever.
Right.
Like, we need to create life. We need to bring this planet back to life. And I feel that part of the reason that it's not thriving with life is because of this separation of the, you know, how women have been over sexualized, to be honest, you know. And so the more that we can really tune into our womb space, the more that we can awaken and align ourselves with the true power that we have as women, and really embody this, right? It's one thing to have all this, and this has all been intellectual. Everything that we're talking about is in the mind. It's really bringing it into the body. And so to bring it into the body, that's why it's important to put our hands on our womb, and even moving, you know, I teach a lot of movement practices to really get women into the body, because that's also a part of embodiment.
Absolutely. So I know that you work with women on these types of issues specifically. And some of your work is done through a process you call the Temple of the Moon. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
The Temple of the Moon is, to be honest, I can't really claim it as my own, right? This is a part of the power and potentiality that we have as women once our womb is awakened. So through many years of doing my own womb work, and working with menstruation, aligning myself with the sacredness of menstruation, I was guided one day to do a ceremony while I was bleeding. And every day, I put myself in a very sacred space, much like the women, have done through indigenous cultures for hundreds of years. And I received meditations and information for the healing process that we go through when we're menstruating, to really align ourselves with that and what's happening on a daily basis and how we can utilize our womb blood as this process of awakening. And so the Temple of the Moon is that it's a 4-day shamanic womb journey that guides women through an awakening process, really, to while they're bleeding. And if you're not bleeding, then you can also, use red grape juice started on the new moon to align yourself with this process as well. And a lot of women have reported that when they do that and say they're not bleeding or they're having issues with menstruation, they do this on a monthly basis, and it has created the balance again in their body.
Beautiful. Thank you. So everyday women, doing their thing, have heard you speak about this. If you could tell them, like dive down deep into the passion of your heart and soul, what is the burning message that you want to convey to women of the planet right now?
Such a great question, and I can feel that passion in my soul. The time is now. The time is now. We need every single one of us. And as you said earlier, I believe it was the Dalai Lama who said that it's the Western women who are going to save the world. And I feel like you're really saying the same thing. And I feel the same way, because it's through this, we have the compassion, we have the love, and through our awakened womb, it connects us to the womb of the cosmic mother. It connects us to the womb of Mother Earth. And so from that place, we can receive their wisdom. We can receive their guidance of how we can guide this future forward, this planet forward, our children forward, to bring balance and harmony back to the planet. So the feminine, we are the representation of Mother Earth. So in that way, the Mother Earth, she's been abused. And so if we really can tap into her and bring her messages through and bring her guidance through at this time for the ways that we can bring the people and planet back into balance. What a beautiful gift that we have. This is what the work that we're to do. And we're needed now. Every single one of us, even if you're not, feeling this great spiritual connection to your womb, just your ability as a woman to have love and compassion and nurturing in your heart for your community. Every single one of us are needed now.
Right. I so totally agree with you. So to bring your information into a practical tool that women can use on a regular basis, if they could just, make the shape and put their hands on their womb, even once a week, once a day, and then say a prayer for the planet, a prayer for their family, a prayer for their womb. Is that a practice that would support the shift that we're looking at?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's a process of honoring, making sacred relation with our womb. And making the sacred relation, it doesn't have to be a big thing. I know we're all busy. A lot of the things that I hear from my clients is like, oh, I don't have the time. I've got to get up and go to work, and then I get home, and especially if you have children. So a little simple tool that I tell women is that when you go to the bathroom, we go to the bathroom multiple times a day. And that's really the perfect place to do this process. After you use the bathroom, wash your hands. Before you go out that door, just take 20 seconds even to bring your hands there and make this sacred relation. Drop down into your room. Here I am, right? This is our deepest place of empowerment as a woman, is living in our womb space. So even just that very simple fact of every time you go to the bathroom, bringing your hands to your womb and making sacred relation. Here I am. I honor you. Here I am. That deepening into our womb space, bringing our energy out of our head and the stress and the worry, and I've got to go to here and I've got to do this, sinking back in, dropping back down, aligning with the womb space. This is our place of power as women. Walking forth from that bathroom, the way that you interact with everyone from that moment forward, you're going to be in a different space. It's like I can feel the difference, and I've become more aware of that as well, of what it feels like to be coming from this center of your body versus this center of your body.
Absolutely. Lisa, I love that. That is the most brilliant idea I've heard yet. So it's like, of course, that's perfect. So women can get a hold of you through your website. You want to share with us what that is and maybe what a session with you would look like?
Yes, my website is the little line there, nature.com. And on there, I have the Temple of the Moon that we spoke about. That's a 4-day guided shamanic womb journey that was really channeled. Like I said, I can't really claim that as my own, but that's free. And I really encourage women, even if you're not bleeding, to try it. And a session with me looks like we do some spiritual coaching. Women will talk about kind of what they're coming in with. It can be a whole range of it. It's really anything, anything that we're feeling off with is invited into this work. So we spend about, 45 minutes to an hour talking about whatever challenges she's having, whatever issues she's having. I do some spiritual life coaching in that way. Then from that space, she's guided into a meditative process that's really unique for her. I channel, I'm an energetic healer. So once we open up the space, and as she's speaking to me, I start to receive guidance for her. I start to see what's going on in her energy field and how we can clear that. So it's channeled guidance, and I lead her through an energetic cleansing, healing, clearing, and then there's an empowerment that comes, right? Because after we release what's no longer serving us, then there's this empty space for the new energies, the new frequencies to come through. And it's really different for each woman. I'm always surprised at what comes through because it's just really based on her and where she's at and what she's needing. So then after that process, we come out of that meditative space and integrate, right? So how can she take this energetic, spiritual newness into her life in a practical way?
Beautiful.
And yeah, then we close the session and
That's lovely.
Mhm.
So I love everything that you've brought. I'm so delighted that there are so many of us out there that are doing this sacred work. And I really especially love the practical tool you gave us in that, I always tell women to start their day with a prayer. And I always say things like, what if we knew that every day, all over the planet, women were doing this?
Mm,
How would we feel different?
mm,
So as we all begin to wake up to this important information, um, we're going to feel safer. We're going to feel safer on the planet. And I believe that your work is directly related to that. And I'm so glad you honored us and came to share it with us today. Thank you so much, Lisa. I so appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for holding this summit and really bringing the awakening to the women. And I love what you said about if we could every day tune into every woman on the planet doing this. I really can feel into that global web and my body softens.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank you. I thank you for the work that you're doing and what you're bringing to the women of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Such a good time together. Thank you so much for being with us.